Hi, everyone. This is Marilyn Bradford, and I would like to welcome you to my Left Turn podcast. What is your left turn? Writing a blog, parenting in a different way, letting go of the old because you are aware of something greater. Left turns are choices we can all make. It's about a willingness to step into the unknown in any area of your life, to trust yourself, to risk creating or trying something new. It's about letting your true uniqueness shine. The greatest people who have lived, artists, statesmen, writers, explorers, musicians, have all been people willing to turn left. What capacities do you have that you have not acknowledged? What would your life and the world be like if you were willing to turn left? Welcome, everybody, to this edition of Left Turn Podcast. I am delighted to have as my guest today, Donnielle Carter, Supreme Master and Empress of all.
You did it!
Moving right along, besides that, she's also the coordinator of Right Body for You. She created that, has been creating it 13, 14 years. She's a certified health and wellness coach, access consciousness certified facilitator, and just a whole ton of fun to be around. Welcome, Donnielle.
Thanks, Marilyn. Thanks for having me. I know Marilyn and I have had the honor of laughing a lot together, so
Yes,
I'm
we
excited
have.
to be here playing with you.
Good. Awesome. So, Donnielle, left turns. What were your favorites?
Oh my gosh, first off, I love the title of your podcast.
Oh, thank you.
I absolutely love it. I love because I love words. I'm the writer. I have classes based on that. So just the left turn, I'm like, that is so awesome because it is those left turns that really kind of change our futures. And and I've been pondering this. I'm like, what is one of my biggest left turns? And honestly, I think it was the day I finally acknowledged I know energy and I'm really weird.
I love it.
Because for the my background, but others necessarily don't. I had a mother who was a seeker, and she was a nutritionist. She did a health talk radio show, and so I spent my childhood from 12 on doing some pretty weird crap. Like, how people joke about like sitting on a chair on top of a crystal underneath a pyramid. Yeah, I did that. Thank you, mother. And I was resistant to it the entire time. I'm like, I'm not like you people. I'm normal. Whatever that was, right? And so
kind of the normal alien from outer space. Is that
exactly. And while at the same time feeling like I didn't fit in. And I had the brilliance of creating my mother as a mother. So when I was a teenager and I'm like, I feel like I don't fit in, I'm like weird. And she's like, yeah, but that's great. I'm like, what? But so for me, it was about 16 years ago at this point where I finally let down my barriers and went, all right, so all that fringe crap that you trying to push me into, Mom, and that energy and awareness and whatever, and I think I'm aware. I think I know what energy is, right? So for me, that was honestly one of my really biggest left turns, is to go, oh, okay, so some of your friends are still wackadoodles. Don't get me wrong, Mom, but there might be something to this energy stuff. There might be something to this awareness, and it got to a point where I couldn't deny it anymore. And that for me is really one of my biggest left turns, because now my life is about energy.
That is so cool, Donnielle. I haven't heard anyone else talking about that. So a left turn can be actually being so honest with yourself that you acknowledge your capacities.
Yeah.
And you're not still trying to, nope, doesn't happen. I'm normal. I swear I'm normal.
I swear I'm normal. See, look how normal I am.
That's terrific.
Yeah. So for me, it was just really that day, that conversation. And my mother had the blessed kindness to not go, I told you so. She waited a year before she said, I told you
Oh,
so. But right then she was like, oh, good. Because she could see the like seed, right? She just wanted to like grow it. A year later, I told you so. And she's passed on. And so every once in a while in classes, I'll see her. She'll come to class, be like, like, I know, mother. Um, but yeah, for me, it was just that the vulnerability to go, oh, all of those aren't coincidences. There's actually something to this awareness, this psychic, this
mhm.
energy, whatever you want to call it. It's like there's more, and I was raised in a very religious childhood. And so I was always taught that if anything else does like that happen, it's because of the religion,
Oh,
because
wow.
of the 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 whatever you want to call it, what their prophets and angels and whatever were, it was them, not us.
Uh-huh.
And so not only was it me going, hey, there might be something to this, and I have that awareness and ability. So it was really a claiming as well and acknowledging, which was, yeah, it was a big deal. It
That
was,
was something. That is a
yeah.
big deal. Yeah.
Yes.
So from that,
Yes.
did you just continue to turn left?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Yeah, yeah. And it was funny because I do have to say, I kind of, in some ways, with some people, I did a controlled turn left.
What does that mean?
Because some of my family knew exactly who I was and what I was doing, and some didn't.
Uh-huh.
I have a large family, and I was with a lot of them yesterday.
Uh-huh.
And one of my nephews was talking to me about, he did a tarot reading, and he's like, have you ever had that? And I'm like, oh, honey, the things you don't know about me.
You're right.
And, and about a year ago, I've dropped all that too. And now I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I do this, I do that, and I'm really weird in according to this reality.
Yes.
But for me, it's not weird anymore.
Right.
So, but yeah, every day I'm more acknowledging more
Hmm.
and having more fun because of it.
Well, I think the more we acknowledge ourselves and acknowledge the gift we
Mhm.
are, it is more fun.
Absolutely.
We're right
Absolutely.
there. Oh, so I'm going to ask you about bodies because
Yes.
your work with bodies has changed
Yes.
my relationship with my body.
Thanks. Me
You-
too.
So, wherever you want to go with that, because the way you be with bodies and talk about them is really a left turn from this reality.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, and it is, and thank you for saying that. And you've really, like I said, I've known Marilyn a long time, and we've had a few conversations over there that's helped me make some of those left turns. So I'm very grateful for that, Marilyn. And yeah, that was definitely another left turn for me after acknowledging energy and that I'm not
Mhm.
full of crap and that there's something to all this.
Mhm.
I took my first access consciousness class, and in there, my facilitator, I had the brilliance of creating Dr. Dane here as my first facilitator. And he asked the question that we ask on Access and Right Body for You of like, hey, what if your body has a consciousness of its own? Would you be willing to ask it for everything that pertains to it? And I'm like, wait a minute. Okay. I've been working with my mother as a nutritionist since I was 12 years old. And everything I have learned, right? And she did a radio show every Saturday. So from 12 until, I don't know, she did it for like 27 years. Every Saturday, I was listening to health experts, whether 1 hour of them or 3 hours of them, varied the show lengths. And it was all about doing to the body.
Mhm.
It was about controlling, dominating, getting it to do what you wanted it to do. Never had I ever heard, what if your body has a consciousness of its own? I'm like, what? No, no, what? But then that energy popped up again, and I'm like, and I love because that first left turn, I couldn't have done this left turn without that left
Right.
turn, which I
Right.
love, right? And I'm like, what? And so I remember that day, Marilyn, I remember, and everybody listening, I remember that day where I lowered my barriers and just said hi to my body.
Wow.
for really the first time, even though I'd been working with bodies at that point for almost 20 years through my mother, right? And I would love to say that I lowered my barriers, said hi to my body, and it was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. No, I felt like an idiot, honestly. I sat there and went, I'm talking to my body. I'm talking to a lump of what? Ah. But there was that lightness, right? That
Uh-huh.
energetic lightness of like, just try it again, just try it again. And so I lowered my barriers again, and then I said hi to my body, and I began to perceive my body for the first time. And I say first time, even though I had a body, I brushed the teeth, I put hair on, no, I put clothes on, I brushed the hair, but I hadn't really been present with my body.
Uh-huh.
And so I began to notice the energy of it, the motion of it, the molecules turning, and just in one of the voices that we always think we hear and we think we're nuts about. What if that's the voice of our body, And I began to really acknowledge it talking to me,
Wow.
and not just through pain, but actual guidance of what it desires, which is just the tip of the iceberg. But yeah, I remember that day so well. And I always love to talk about that. I felt like an idiot at first because everybody thinks that like the first time they do this, it has to be this like heaven's open angels singing, and
Hmm.
not necessarily. Sometimes you feel it's uncomfortable, or you feel like an idiot. But yeah, so for me it was another one of those moments, and since then I have been really exploring this world of bodies with the energy of it. And I combine what I all the nutrition and in I've learned with my mother, or I learned through my own training, and combining it with this asking your body what it wants and listening to it.
Hmm.
My life has really gotten bigger
Hmm.
and more glorious, just simply because I'm not alone. A lot of people are like feeling like they're always alone. They have to create alone, or it's always up to them. But you know what? My body is the creation partner now, which is it's really
Cool.
amazing.
Yeah, I don't know that I've actually ever heard you say that. That's really awesome.
Yeah, it's fun.
So the one of the many things that done for me with body is to help me get out of judgment. Can you
Yeah.
talk about that?
Oh my gosh, how much time do we have? And we were joking about that earlier, that I used to be so shy that I couldn't talk, and now I could talk for hours. Um, yeah, and it's you know, uh, judgment is one of the greatest solidifiers we have in the universe. And for me, when we judge as something right or wrong, we have to look at that, because it's always like, oh, I just judge it as wrong, but that's right. Well, no. Well, no, it's also where we think we have it right.
Right.
But for me, it's that place where when we judge it, we define it. And when we define it, we have to encapsulate it and put it
Oh,
into a thing that we can see and reference. And
yeah.
when we do that, we solidify it. We try to solidify it. But the universe and bodies and energy moves constantly. So when we do that judgment and try to solidify it, put our bodies into a one image to look at, that's when disease comes. That's when non-flexibility comes. That's when um, just life becomes not as much fun. And I mean, I could list the things that could go, like, I don't want to scare people because I know most of us are still judging. But what's interesting about this is what I also have discovered really is like, so many of us judge ourselves for judging our bodies,
Yes. Yes.
but our bodies are not judging us. And so
Right.
what's interesting is, more than like, one of the things I work with people a lot is like, oh, I overate, oh, I overate. I did bad things to my body. Well, and what's interesting is, with working with people, it's really become the judgment that we overate is more harmful to the body than actually overeating.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
That
And
makes sense.
yeah, totally, right? Because it does that stoppage, right? And our bodies are like, okay, so we all right, whatever, no big deal. But when we judge that we did it wrong or
Mhm.
judge that we're judging it,
Mhm.
that's the more harmful thing, which is interesting. And so yeah, and then people go, well, how do I not judge? And first off, take a lesson from your body. Because I touched briefly that your body doesn't care. I,
Right.
I could talk for hours on that. Your body truly has no point of view. And so one of the questions I encourage people to ask is it's like next time you think your body's mad at you, or next time you think that your body's judging you, you could do one of two things. You can point to where you think the judgment is coming from, or ask, who's judging, me or my body? And
Wow.
if you truly lower your barriers, 99.99% of the time, it's not your body. It's we're judging and we're projecting
Yes.
that we think our body because we don't want to look at that place. But our bodies truly don't judge us. And when I ask point to where the judgment's coming from, they'll all go, I'm like, right, then that's not your body.
Yeah. Yeah. And how much do we pick up other people's judgments of their
Yes.
bodies or
Oh
about
my gosh,
or
yes.
that whole who does this belong to thing?
And then we judge ourselves for judging those other people. But
Yes,
then
I've done that.
yeah, right. And then but those people come in. I call it prejudged, right? We come in and we go, okay, this is my list of how you judge me. And
Mhm.
then we go, okay, that's how I judge you. Oh, but I feel bad I'm judging you. But you were asking that. Doesn't mean you have to do the judgment, but it is that,
It gets really
yeah.
crazy.
Oh my gosh.
It gets really
It
crazy.
is. It's so
Yeah.
amazing though.
So your whole approach to bodies is basically multiple left turns.
Yes.
What
Yes.
else would you like to let people know about bodies and left turns? And it doesn't have to be just the bodies. It's just I have gotten so much from you for that.
Oh,
Uh,
thank you. Yeah. Oh my gosh. What else? Like left turns with bodies, honestly, the bodies are not mad at you. I
yeah,
have I've worked with thousands of people. I've never ever met a body that was mad at the infinite being.
interesting.
And I know that's going to frustrate and piss off a lot of people because
Uh-huh.
oddly enough, a lot of people take comfort in that my body's mad at me, my body's not working with me. No,
No.
I have never found that to be true. And so just kind of, I encourage people to really look at that. Lower your barriers and not judge yourself because people are like, oh, but if it's not my body, then it's me. I'd rather blame my body.
Mhm.
This isn't about blame. It's about getting to where we're functioning from so we can actually make another choice. And when we get to where we're functioning from, it's not about judging that. It's about going, oh, okay, well, that didn't create what I wanted. I'm going to choose something different, right? So, as much as it's going to annoy people, is that bodies are not mad at you. They're not working against you. And pain is a huge topic, but pain
Yeah.
is your
What about that?
pain is your body's loudest attempt to talk to you
Okay.
because it'll get louder and louder and louder. That communication, that voice I was talking about,
Mhm.
right? It'll get louder and louder and louder until it it reaches what we call pain to get our attention. Because what happens when our body hurts? We stop. We pay
Yes.
attention to it finally. We
Yes.
might even ask a
Finally. Yes.
question.
Yeah. And
And
we get mad.
and we get mad, we do. And that's what's so funny is this like my body's out to get me. I'm like, so your body hurts itself to get you. That makes sense. Just think about that for a minute, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so for me, and that's one of my targets with everything I do is to help people know that the bodies are not mad. The bodies are here to actually help us thrive in this reality. I was taught in the religion I was grew up in, I was taught that the body was a jail and that we're here to suffer. And the greater
Oh,
the
wow.
suffering, yeah, the greater the suffering, the more rewards in heaven. And I'm like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh,
Wow. Wow.
no. So if I can change that, let that
That's
go.
pretty big.
It is pretty big.
Donnielle.
Yeah, that was a major left turn. Yeah,
But
and
I noticed that when I'm off track with my body, I play with my cats a lot.
yeah,
And they're so not judging anything about their
no,
bodies or about their
no,
beings or
no.
anything.
No, and you know what's funny? Speaking of cats, I have cat. Well, I have one right now, but always have cats, plural. But that was actually it left turn one time as well because I was standing in a doorway and my cat was on the floor, like rolled over, like, rub me. And so, I'm standing up, it's on the floor. So I start petting it with my foot. And I go, look at this cat letting me pet her with her foot. And I'm like, oh, wait, whoa. That was my judgment that
Yeah.
touching with the foot was worse than touching with the hand.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, thanks, cat. The cat's like, I don't care, just touch me. I'm like, oh, you're right, you're right, you're right. Thank you for that, right? And it's weird these little places that we still judge and create solidifications.
Yes. Come to conclusions and have
Mhm.
points of view we don't even know we have. And
Yes.
what I've also found is the more that I don't judge my body and communicate with it and it communicate, listen to it, that affects all other areas of my life.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Amazing.
And that's why I call it the creation partner, right? And that I know I'm not alone, even with creating my finances. It's like it's all up to us. And my body wants to contribute to it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. Yeah.
And let me a little side note that I want to clarify is another place where people judge a lot is if they have any pain or anything going on in their body,
Mm.
they think, "Oh, what have I done wrong?"
Ah,
Please don't
yes.
go to what have I done wrong.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's the number of times I've had quote unquote pain in my body and I'm like, "Hey, body, what are you up to?" And it's like, "I'm doing something." I'm like, "Okay." Or like, I have a fever and I'm like,
Yeah.
body, do you require this fever right now? It's like, yeah, just give me 12 hours. I'll be fine. I'm like, okay. Because we
Wow.
spend so much time and energy fighting to stop it
Yes.
instead of just working with your body, you get through that stuff
Yes.
faster.
Wow.
So just because something's going on doesn't mean you're wrong. Please
Yeah.
just ask your body what it's up to, what's going on, what does it require?
And fighting never works.
No, it doesn't. It
And
just it
fighting
prolongs
anything.
it.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
prolongs it. It attaches you. It makes you attached to it, whatever it is.
And it's that solidification again.
That's a
Define it. And
solidification. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Tell people, if you could give people one or two tools to begin to work with the body as something that's way beyond what we learn in this reality, what would
Mhm.
you say? What tools would you use?
Honestly, I would start, I always suggest starting with what I did. Take a
Okay.
moment. Take a moment where it could be 3 minutes, could be 5 minutes. It doesn't have to be very long, where you won't be interrupted, but then just take that moment, put your hands on your body, you can put face, lap, fold
Mhm.
your arms, whatever it is for you. Lower your barriers and energetically just have to ask for it to happen and it will. You lower your barriers and then just say hi to your body. And then what I've noticed is a lot of people will first be like, hi, and then like dodge it because they're afraid of what their body's going to say. So let me tell you right now, please don't be afraid of what your body's going to say
Mhm.
because this body's going to be excited that you're listening to it. So it's like, so use whatever clearing tools you have, clear whatever comes up, and keep being present with your body and just saying hi, hi, hi. And then it's going to reach a place where you're like, oh, hi, body. And then you allow your body to say hi back to you.
Mm.
That's an important step. It's like to get that, because the communication is always happening. It always is
Yes.
happening. Okay. If people feel weird about like, well, I tried to start communicating with my body and it felt weird. I'm like, well, yeah, because you can't start something you're already doing. You're
Ah,
always communicating with your body. So that's why it feels weird when you try to start. But in this, you're really acknowledging that you're talking to your body is talking to you. And so it will change that day, and then it'll change the next day, and then the next day, and the next day. So I suggest people start there just to really get to acknowledge that communication. And then the other tool, really quickly, is gratitude.
mm.
Gratitude and judgment cannot coexist, and
Mhm.
I look at it as a chemical reaction. Like if
Mhm.
you have this stinky, murky judgment and then you drop in gratitude and judgment goes gone, right?
Wow.
Even if you're not grateful about what you're judging, because a lot of people think like, oh, I have to be grateful for what I'm judging. I'm like, be grateful for anything.
Yeah.
Because if you're grateful for anything, it starts to dissolve that solidity of judgment in your universe.
Woo,
So,
I just got chills on that one.
right, isn't that fun? And so it's like I'm judging my body. Well, be grateful that you have money in your bank account,
Yeah.
because that gratitude will help to de-solidify the judgment around your body even. Because having gratitude in your universe at all, judgment cannot last. And I mean, if you can be judging your body and turn around and be grateful for your body, absolutely. You know, I have a little 10 key thing of like 10 things to be grateful about your body now. You can always find something, but
Yes.
even if you can't, be grateful for anything.
Yes. Oh,
And
I
it'll
love
help.
that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Donnielle.
Thank
I've
you.
known you forever, and every time I learned something. I learned a couple things on this. That's just awesome.
I love it. Thank you. It's so fun playing with you, Marilyn. I've so
It is
enjoyed it
fun.
over all these years.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining this episode of Left Turn. I wonder what embracing left turns could create in your life. What magical possibilities might show up. Remember, when you choose left turns, you are joining a group of the most creative and brilliant people the world has ever known.